Most parents can't imagine ever leaving their child. The strong bond between them is very hard to break, so even when things are tough, it's always worth working to keep that loving connection. Not all parents have such lucky circumstances though, and dire consequences can sometimes mean dire actions driven to nigh unthinkable decisions. These decisions aren't the be-all end-all though, as there are now more opportunities than ever for all parties to have a safer future. That type of stress can weigh heavily on a mind, making the person in question feel awful about themselves. If your low self-esteem has been dragging you down lately, you can start breaking free from that cage today. It's something most of us have likely said before: not everyone is fit to raise a child. Though it's often brought up as a judgment or a point of concern, there's also a more grounded context in which that's said. And it's when a parent themselves has to ask whether or not they're able to raise a baby. For those that understand they're not, be it due to financial reasons, mental health reasons, or otherwise, there are a growing number of services for them. In cities across the country, there are buildings with a feature known as the Safe Haven Baby Box. The box is a place where parents who need to abandon their child, for whatever reason that may be, can do so safely and anonymously, knowing someone will safely retrieve the baby and give it a new life. It sounds cruel, the thought of ever abandoning a child, but boxes like these prevent these children from being left somewhere they may not get found, where they may get kidnapped, or worse, prevent their death. These boxes are often stationed in places with 24-hour monitoring or close to, so the baby isn't left alone for too long. In Ocala, Florida, the Safe Haven Baby Box is in the local fire station. That's where a man named Vincent was working when he heard an alarm go off. Not the usual fire alarm that signified it was time to hop aboard a truck, but the alarm that told him someone had used the Safe Haven box. He originally believed it to be a false alarm, but went to investigate. That's where he found a small baby girl wrapped up in a pink blanket. She had a little bottle with her, and she was just chilling, he told NBC News. I picked her up and held her. We locked eyes, and that was it. I've loved her ever since that moment. Unbeknownst to the baby, who would later be named Zoe, and the parent who surrendered her, she arrived at just the right time. Vincent and his wife, Katie, had been trying to have a child for upwards of a decade with no luck. Zoe's coincidental arrival during his overnight shift seemed to be a sign. She was meant to be part of their family. Not right away though. The protocol involving the Safe Haven box is that the baby must first be brought to the hospital. So, Vincent wrote a note explaining his immediate wish to adopt Zoe and tucked it inside her blanket before he handed her over to the hospital staff. I explained that my wife and I have been trying for 10 years to have a baby. I told them we'd completed all of our classes in the state of Florida and were registered to adopt, he said. All we needed was a child. When his wife woke up the next morning and he was able to tell her what happened, she immediately began to cry. I was like, don't get too excited yet, Vincent told Today. My biggest fear was that the note I wrote wouldn't stay with Zoe and she'd be gone. It was a very stressful few days. However, just 2 days after he found her in the Safe Haven box, Zoe was at home with her new parents, their path toward an official adoption having just started. Before you finalize, anything can happen, and we've experienced that in the past. So when the judge said, "You guys are a family," we kind of looked at each other and we're like, "We're a family. Holy guacamole, we're a family," Katie said. So that was easily the best day of our lives. Zoe was originally brought home in January, but the adoption wasn't finalized until April. Vincent and Katie are immensely grateful for Katie's birth mother, whoever she is and wherever she may be. We needed each other, Katie explained, and the way we were able to help each other was through that baby box. Their goal with making their story so public is that it will one day get back to Zoe's birth mother and she'll get to know that her child is safe with a family who loves her. It's not about me. It's not about my wife. It's not about our journey to have kids. It's not about me being a first responder. It's about this beautiful little girl who was given the chance of life and that she's been adopted. She's loved and hopefully her birth mother sees it and recognizes that she did the right thing, Vincent explained. She doesn't have to worry anymore. Her daughter's taken care of and is loved beyond words. Micah Kelsey, the founder of Safe Haven Baby Boxes, spoke at a press conference the day that Zoe was surrendered and found, expressing much the same sentiment that Vincent later would. We want to address the parents who legally surrendered this infant, and right now I'm going to talk directly to her or him, she said at the time. Thank you. Thank you for keeping your child safe. Thank you for bringing your child to a place that you knew was going to take care of this child. And thank you for doing what you felt was best. Deciding whether you can take care of a new baby can be really, really hard. Many things can make a person realize they can't raise a child, but the guilt of leaving them is too much for some. So the child grows up in a not-so-good, unstable home. But Zoe's mom was strong. She did what was right, even though it must have felt terrible. Now both of them can have a better, healthier life because of her choice and because safe haven boxes give parents like her confidence. Growing up in a home that can't take care of you can hurt a lot. This hurt can stay with people for a long time, making everyday tasks tough, even when they're grown up.